Welcome everyone. I am your host Lex Black. You're tuning into my show Midnight Arcade. This is episode 43. Yo, it's crazy. I can't believe I'm at 43 episodes. You're gonna hear me say that a lot because a couple years ago when I conceived this show, a couple years ago when I thought of this show, I didn't even know what was gonna happen. And granted, the progress is slow, but it's gradually on the incline, which is great. Episode 43, housework, house items. As always, make sure you like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified for whenever I drop that new heat. You heard? Yes, sir. As always, I have to let you guys know I am currently working on the third book of my cyberpunk fantasy trilogy, Neon District. The book title is called Neon District Influx. It is the finale in the trilogy, of course, and it has been a long time coming. I started writing the series, world building for it way back in 2013. Okay, shout out to Splitting Atom Agency. Those are my people that work with me on the post-production of the books. They've done it for books 1 and 2, Alpha and Exodus. I'm very excited to be working with them. There's something coming down the pipeline, a collaboration between Midnight Arcade and Splitting Atom Agency. It's exciting. Make sure you stay tuned for that. It's going to be here on my channel. It's going to be great. But today, we are not talking about the bread and butter. Today, we're talking about another creative staple, one that I might have mentioned many a time before, in part in many of these episodes where I'm covering Boruto and other anime and other shows and other manga. It is Final Fantasy VII. Yes, the quintessential game, the greatest game ever, in my personal and humble opinion. A game that has had such an impact on my life, creatively, as a writer, as a creator, as just in general, as a story reader, just, oh my Lord. So anyway, what are we talking about today? We're talking about Final Fantasy VII Rebirth. Stay tuned to the channel because I'm gonna have a full, thorough review of both Remake and Rebirth coming down the pipeline soon enough. But because Rebirth is the topic of discussion, I wanted to cover this because this game is a game that is close to my heart. So anyway, let's get into it, man. So I'm not gonna do like a deep dive, and I've only played up to like 20 hours of the game, and of those 20 hours I would say maybe 3 or 4 have been dedicated to the main storyline. I'm gonna get to that in a second, but let's talk about everything else. So first and foremost, the graphics. Pristine. I've taken one too many video and I've taken copious amounts of pictures because I just could not look away from some of the epic views from the scenery that the open world provides players, whether it be from the high perches overlooking the rest of the vast landscape below, beyond toward the horizon, or enjoying the jaw-dropping fluidity of the water mechanics and the nuanced visuals of seeing the land beneath the open bodies of water, diving deep into the blue, or not even so deep into the blue, but just the real nuanced texturing of the graphics in that respect. And the way how it mimics reality is really true. It makes me do a double take satisfactorily, and it truly is chef's kiss. For real. Very impressive. I'm very impressed. As far as the battle mechanics go, now this, oh man. I remember playing the original Final Fantasy VII, and though I enjoyed the battles, they were fun, they were great, I also dreaded them, partly because a lot of the time you didn't know when they were going to happen, right? And secondly, while the traditional turn-based battles is a classic battle system, and I love it, and I'm always going to respect it, right? It felt restricted, and it kind of took away from the amazement that I felt playing the game, but not so much. It wasn't so much that it was a big deterrent at all. But when I tell you, when I'm looking at the battle mechanics of both Remake and Rebirth, I thoroughly enjoy looking forward to every fight in both Remake and Rebirth. I feel like I have more control, right? And you know the battle system is definitely something amazing, like when you see it in action. I literally cannot get enough of it. All I want is the smoke. All I'm looking for is people to fight. All I'm looking for is enemies to fight in this game. That's it. I just want to fight people because the battle mechanics are that fun. They're that great. And it is a little bit chaotic, right? It takes a little bit getting used to having to control everybody and get used to the synergy abilities and synergy tactics and getting used to that whole swing of things. It is a little bit tough, but once you start getting the basics down, all I want to do is fight. It's great. It's really fun. Honestly enough, I hadn't played Remake since the 4 years since it came out. And like I said, it took a little bit of time for me to get into the flow of the battles. But like I said, man, once I got the basics down, it became even more fun. And I'm still learning how to chain all the abilities and controls together. And it's just, it's incredible. It's amazing, man. I also really love how the creators of the game really did a great job matching the unbelievable fighting style an approach that Advent Children so brilliantly displayed. Even though Advent Children is now officially non-canon, right? The fighting in that was brilliant. And I do suspect, now correct me in the comment sections if I'm wrong, okay? But I do suspect that Ruby, the anime from Rooster Teeth, shout out to those guys, they got a lot of inspiration from Advent Children. Correct me if I'm wrong, guys. Maybe I'm reaching, but when I watch Ruby, I get real Advent Children vibes in the fights. And if you know, you know, right? I'll get more on the fighting mechanics and the battle mechanics in my official big time remake Rebirth review, right? Because I want to cover the story and all that stuff as well. Again, this is just a quick episode of what I played thus far and some of the things that I noticed. There's going to be another part to this. Okay, there's going to be another part to this. I'm going to be doing some miniature reviews of Rebirth as I'm playing through. Like I said, I'm 20 hours in. Of the 20 hours, 4 of them are actually main storyline. The rest are the quests and the side quests, and then getting coverage of the entire world maps and all that stuff, which is what I'm about to get into right now. Okay, so the world itself is very lush with incredible imagery and environments, most of which the user can interact most. What's going on, guys? Lex Black here. I've always wanted to build community, to connect with people in a different way. I'm a music artist, I'm an author, I'm a web show host. The world is filled with an infinite amount of things to analyze, discuss, laugh at, relate to, and experience together. My brain is always moving 1,000,000 miles per second. And social media can't really capture everything that's going on up in mine. And there's so much that I want to share with you guys, so I figure starting this is the perfect avenue for that. And with this tool, you guys will get a wide scope into literally everything that I do and everything that I am as a creator. So I really hope to be able to connect with you guys. The mind is a universe, and I wanted to share my universe with you. So with great honor, I humbly welcome you guys. Welcome to Midnight Future. Sign up and join the email list. This stands in stark contrast to Remake, which of course took place solely in Midgar, so the essence of the games are truly following suit if we're talking based from the source material of 7. Obviously in Disc 1, the majority of Disc 1 took place in the original, in Midgar, and you went from sector to sector. It wasn't an open world concept, but when you got out into the open world, it was like, man, I could go anywhere, right? It just felt vast, right? But there are some drawbacks that I've noticed, or that I've just felt personally, that I wanted to talk about. So some of the cons that I've felt thus far: traversing, exploring, discovering, unearthing, excavating, you name it, feels slightly repetitive. Like, I know I have the choice to like barrel through the story just to satisfy the need for the variety and getting the story retold to me with the PS5 graphics and stuff like that, you know what I mean? But if I just barrel through it without really covering and exploring and taking advantage of the massive zones that the game has given us access to, right, it will come at the cost of the fights being more difficult down the line and me potentially missing out on key weapons, materia, or other items that I will need for when, you know, we eventually face off against more powerful enemies in the main storyline. And I don't want to have to keep restarting. And then there's something on the opposite side of this critique. There's something to grinding. It's an RPG trope. Any RPG player will tell you grinding is part of the game, and building your character's strength, that's the fun part. So it's a little bit arduous at times, it's a little bit redundant at times, but it's also fun because then you get to really experience the fruit of your labor when you go up against tough bosses and you're able to handle them relatively easily, relatively being the key operative word there. The side quests, while admittedly very fun, okay, and they're more addicting than I thought they would be. And they sometimes kind of make me forget about the fact that there is an actual story that I need to follow. And like I said, it's both good and bad. But, you know, maybe my opinion will change for now, but we'll see. On one end of the spectrum, it's cool because it gives the world that expansive feel. It lets the players know that there's more going on outside of the main storyline. There's more things for you as the player playing through the role of Cloud and the gang to interact with the world, to help change the trajectory of the world on a smaller scale with these side quests, so on and so forth. It gives you the perception or the feeling of control when, you know, obviously they made the game how they made the game, and the main storyline is the main storyline and you have to follow it in order to actually beat it. But again, it gives you more options to expand, to explore, to experience. You dig what I'm saying? So on that front, it's really cool. But here's the thing, right? The zones, right? Because I don't really feel like call me nuts,
And I am.
right? But the open worlds, they just feel like big ass zones to me, walled off zones. So the open world concept kind of doesn't really feel open to me in the sense that I could literally go anywhere in the world of Gaia per the zones permitting me to go certain places. I can't go everywhere, right? And yes, the same was true with the original game, but I guess the scale felt different because we were so enclosed in the confines of Midgar. And once we got out into the open where we could literally just run anywhere with the character's icon or whatever, it just felt bigger, right? Even, and I know it sounds crazy. I know it sounds nuts considering how massive everything is when we're looking at the scale of the PS5 graphics compared to the PS1. But I'm just talking about feel, not graphics, okay? So there's that. And so, like I said, it feels more like giant walled off sections where even the perception of going beyond the assigned zone doesn't feel like you actually can, if that makes sense. I say that because the same was true with the original, yes. Once we left Midgar, I felt like, holy shit, like this world is really vast. Even though in the reality of things, like I was mentioning earlier, things needed to get done before we could go across the ocean to get to Costa del Sol and continue on with the story. And yes, maybe my view of it is a little bit silly, and yes, comparing it to the original Rebirth, sense of scale is always going to feel like I'm comparing apples to oranges, but this legendary game bore rich fruit, okay? So I'd say that in this strange case, the comparisons aren't too crazy because it's fruit, right? I'm reaching, sorry, don't mind me, okay? Honestly, that's the only gripe that I have. Other than that though, and that opinion is likely to change, because as I've told you guys, I've been exploring the maps thoroughly. I'm at the Junon sector right now, and I've probably uncovered about 80% of the map. So, you know, and the fast travel system, I'm gonna be able to have access to everything. And I'm sure in the third iteration of the remakes, rebirths, or whatever have you, I'm gonna be, once we get on the high wind, right, we're gonna be able to travel the world and it's gonna feel a lot bigger. You know what I'm saying? So that's gonna be cool. I'm very much looking forward to that and to see how the creators and Square Enix, how they do it. But honestly, like I said, that's the only gripe that I have. I am beyond happy with this game thus far as of time of recording. Like I said, I've conquered most of the Junon area map zone thingy, whatever you want to call it. But that's it. That's all I wanted to do. I just wanted to have a quick episode reviewing Final Fantasy Rebirth, what I played thus far. Just wanted to kind of give you guys what was going on in my head with my experiences as I played. It wasn't really a thorough deep dive into the character trajectories and the interactions and so on and so forth. Like I said, stay tuned for Midnight Arcade, and this season, maybe next season as well. I'm going to be providing a very thorough breakdown of Remake and Rebirth as a whole. So stay tuned for that. And that's it, man. Make sure you guys like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell icon to be notified for whenever I drop that new heat. You heard, yes sir. Make sure you check the links in my bio. Make sure you check out my books, Neon District Alpha and Exodus. Influx is being written, it's on the way. Make sure you guys stay tuned for everything. Thank you for tuning in. I appreciate everything, and stay tuned for episode 44. We're going to be covering Boruto in the next few episodes, and whatever else comes up, man, stay tuned.